first of all open this with a prayer. Let us pray. Almighty God, in your wisdom and goodness, have appointed the office of leaders and legislative assemblies for the welfare of society and the just government of the people. We beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of important trust in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, welcome to this afternoon's General Oversight Committee meeting. The Honorable Chair, Madam Speaker, is away on another engagement, so I'll be taking us through this afternoon session. Basically, I think the reason why we are here today is because of our statement, which was sought by Honorable Moses Mita on the 15th day of February. He requested a statement from the Department of Finance and Economic Planning. He requested a statement seeking to find out what the Department of Finance and Economic Planning was doing to ensure that revenue collection targets are met, especially at the queries. So we will be concentrating our efforts, our discussions mostly on queries, because if we look at other factors like single business permit and all other things, the collection peaks in March and April, and therefore you might not be able to be comparing apples for apples. But query revenue collection is constant. It's almost constant, a straight line throughout the year with very little dips, and therefore that is what we'll be concentrating on. There is data which has been provided for honorable members to look at. I think if you look at that file which you have there, you'll be able to see in Appendix 1, it is giving us the revenues which have been collected from the financial year 2017-2018, 2018-2019, 2019-2020, 2020-2021, and the year to date 2021-2022. So you'll be able to see the monies which have been collected from the queries, and you'll also see below there is an analysis of revenue of Q1 of the first or in the financial years, what was received in the first quarter for the respective financial years. And therefore, the chair who was sitting at that time directed that the Chief Officer of Finance and Revenue Collection should provide a response to the Assembly through this General Oversight Committee. Basically being that we have noted a major dip in the collection of revenues, especially in the queries, noting that the country's development agenda is on the increase. We can all be able to see buildings cropping up everywhere in Nairobi, in Machakos, and therefore it kind of is amazing to see revenues going down while the queries are the ones which are feeding all these constructions we are seeing around the country or around our county, and especially the neighboring Nairobi County, going up and skyrocketing, but our revenues are going down. So I think that is the reason why we are here this afternoon. I don't know whether Mr. Clerk, you had put some questions here to guide the committee. Have you prepared questions which will guide the committee? We have a questionnaire in that, as an attachment, and the questionnaire has 3 questions. The first one is to give a detailed report on local revenue collection, and that one we would like it to be read or requested, asked by Honorable Ellen Ndeti. You can handle the first question. Then we have the second question, which is what is the department doing about, there are 3 issues there. So maybe the first one, revenue collectors who do not have identification documents, that maybe can be asked by Fred. Then impersonification of revenue collectors who are as innocent residents, that can be asked by Honorable Cosmas Masesi. Then traders who are not paying revenue in the queries, that can be asked by Honorable Kingori, right? I'm trying to distribute the questions so that when we start, we have a guided way of engaging them. Then we also have another question there. Give a detailed report of revenue collection, automation and status of pay bills, aggregation to one pay bill number for all the queries in the county. And that one can be asked by Honorable Nick, can ask that question. And then from there, any other questions which will be arising, because it's an interactive session. So any other member now will be able to ask all those other questions. I want the chairman to be the last one to be responding on these issues because it pertains to your committee. So I didn't want to give you a specific question to ask because you'll be responsible for ensuring there is a coordinated response on all the issues which are going to be raised before the committee today in as far as revenue collection is concerned. It's important, honorable members, to note that this is a very serious issue. Let's take it with the seriousness it deserves. Revenue collection, and I want you to note this because I wanted to go on record. Revenue does not reduce. When it comes to constructions, revenue does not reduce. What increases are leakages. So it's a serious thing because we are saying if we can be able to collect all the revenues from the queries, then looking at the figures you are seeing there, all your KRB and other projects should be funded only by queries alone without even getting a single item from equitable share from the kind of monies we are seeing we have been getting from queries. So it's a serious issue, and I believe let us all engage them with the seriousness it deserves. Any member with an observation before we call them in? So that we can be able maybe to, any member with a question to enhance on this. How many members who are in the House belong to the Finance and Revenue Collection Committee? Would you raise your hands? The members who are in the House who belong to that committee? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members of the committee. Okay, good. So any other item which we can be able to engage them with before we call them in? Silence means you're okay. So could maybe, could they be brought, could they be called to come and we continue with the session? Thank you so much. Yes, just go ahead and bring them, yeah. So write down that question, you will ask it. Okay? Write down the question. Yes. Yeah, the thing is this. The thing is this. I hear you. The bag stops. Let me tell you, when you are given a responsibility, you are told you're in charge of revenue collection. Then even the enforcement department, those officers who are supposed to enforce the revenue collection are under you. At the time of enforcing revenue collection, they are under the direction of the Chief Officer Revenue Collection. Okay? Yeah. Absolutely. That is what I'm saying. They are under the direction Because when an enforcement officer goes to site, for example, when a KRA officer comes to collect things, he comes to the police. But the police are being directed by who? The KRA officer. So it's the same thing here. The revenue officers are the ones who now, they are just given officers to go with them so they can ensure compliance. But the person who is implementing...
Through the chair?
Yes. Yeah.
But we find that it's to some extent the CEO of finance is not, they don't work under her. In fact, they are DU and she has no end authority to either call them or do anything. So they do what they want, they collect.
No. If that is that, no. What I'm trying to say, no, honorable member, is this. Nobody will go to the queries to collect revenue. If they are not directed.
For us, you see, Mheshimiwa talked about in building.
Yeah. Here today, that's why I don't want us to. I told you today, let's concentrate on queries. Those other issues, we'll handle them. But today, the focus really is on queries. Now, record it, Honorable Judas. Record it under AOB. Ask it. Once we finish the core business, then bring that one, because it's an important point. Okay. Any other item? Nick, you had your hand up?
It was the same issue, because like in my ward, those DU guys, those askaris, they go and they arrest people, and when they intervene, they release them, or they can return the money. It was just the same issue.
Yes.
With the quarry issue.
Okay. Honorable Katie, just a minute. Karibuni, welcome. Thank you. Good afternoons. Yeah, welcome to today's interrogation. This is the General Oversight Committee. The General Oversight Committee is a committee of the whole House, which is mainly involved in matters of county importance, which are not departmental specific. If there's an item which is cutting across the entire county, then it's not handled by a department or a committee, specific committee. I know you have been dealing with the Revenue Collection Committee, but that committee is only involved in matters on revenue collection alone. But if an item now concerns the entire county, then it is brought before what you call the General Oversight Committee, which comprises of all honorable members of the House, chaired by the Honorable Speaker, who this afternoon is not there, and therefore, as a deputy, that's why I'm the one who is chairing this meeting this afternoon. Before we proceed, I would like to administer, we start by administration of oath on the officer who is going to be responsible for responding. We had summoned before you go ahead, Nora, we had someone, the CEC Finance and the Chief Officer in charge of revenue collection. So who is representing the CEC Finance and who is representing the CEC Finance?
The CEC finance position is vacant at the moment, so as at now, no one has come to represent the CEC finance.
Okay, so you had been summoned. When I look at the invitation to a meeting, it is written to Ms. Catherine Garashu, Chief
Mrs.
Officer of
Catherine
Finance and
Garashu.
Revenue Collection. I can see Madam Jacinta is also here.
Yeah, Madam Jacinta is with me because she's my head of department.
Okay, so she has come as a HOD.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I think you may go ahead and administer the oath on Madam Garashu. I think you are the one who will basically be answering the questions.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, go ahead. And I think you'll also administer on Jacinta, because at some point she might need, both of you are authorized to speak before the assembly as chief officers,
Yes, sir.
but you can only seek advice from them. They cannot address the assembly, but you can consult with them for information. Then you give it to the honorable members. Okay.
We are guided, sir.
Thank you. So let's have the oath administered on Madam Garashu and Jacinta.
I, Catherine Garashu, do hereby swear that the information that I shall give before this committee is the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Thank you. Madam Jacinta.
Okay. I, Jacinta Masila, do hereby swear that the information that I shall give before this committee is the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Okay. Thank you very much. So with the oaths in place, basically, if I may just give an overview, the reason why we are here is because there was a statement sought before this House on the 15th day of February by Honorable Moses Mita, and the statement sought that the Department of Finance and Economic Planning to provide this House with what the department was doing to ensure that revenue collection targets are met, specifically with specific attention to queries. So I will not want us to divert from queries. Specifically, we are discussing about queries. The main reason for requesting the statement was noting the declining trend in revenue collection in the queries. In the financial year 2021-2022, from the report which we heard from the Controller of Budget, the revenue from queries for the first quarter was 45,042,446. And the second quarter was 40,402,360, giving for those two quarters a total of Kenya shillings 85,444,806. As was noted before the House, at that time, the query is supposed to be, from the query, the expectation of this House is 60 million shillings a month. So if we are collecting 45 million shillings in a quarter, while the expectation is 60 million shillings in a month, then that's the reason why the House felt there is something seriously wrong with the way the revenue was being collected. And therefore, hence the reason why the honorable member went ahead and sought the statement. So I will be requesting, there is a question here which has been developed and which I think we shall use. It's an interactive session. Any member can interject at any time and ask any other question they may feel like asking. And I would like to request Honorable Helen Ndeti to go ahead and answer the first question, and then from there we go ahead. Honorable Helen Ndeti.
Yeah, I'm Helen Ndeti, a nominated member by Wiper Party. And the first question goes, give a detailed report on local revenue collection for the financial years 2017 to 2018, 2018 to 2019, 2019 to 2020, 2020 to 2021, and 2021 to 2022 is at 30th January 2022. If possible, highlight the amount collected from the quarries in this period.
And the real question there is, there's a question there? No, that's the very first one. There's a question there.
Okay, sorry. What I have is incomplete. I don't know how come.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Okay, now, the question now goes is, if possible, highlight the amount collected from the quarries and give us the reasons for the declining trend.
Okay, that is a question.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa Ndeti. I have a detailed report on what our revenues have been over the last 5 years. In 2017-2018, we collected 1.1 billion. In 2018-2019, this is the total collection, 1.55 billion. In 2019-2020, we collected 1.37. In 2020-2021, we collected 1.3. And this year, as at 20th of February, we have collected 652 million. When going to the quarries alone, as one of the...
Come again? You're saying, come again, the last?
652 million so far.
For
the year 2021-2022.
For the year 2021-2022, you have collected?
652 million.
652 million.
Yeah, as at 20th February.
This is total revenue?
Yes.
For all?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So
let us narrow down on the query.
When we narrow down on the quarries, in the year 2017-2018, we collected 229 million. In the year 2018-2019, we collected 469 million. In the year 2019-2020, we collected 367 million. In the year 2020-2021, collected 230 million. In the year 2021-2022, as at 20th February, we have collected 118 million.
There's a question which we were asked. What are the reasons for the declining trend? Maybe if
There
I
is-
may just, before you explain that, looking at the figures which have been given here, or which are provided here, you may sit, because my question is may be a bit lengthy. 2018-2019, we collected 469 million. 2019-2020, there was a decline of 100 million. 2020-2021, there is a further decline of 136 million. And from the trend analysis of 2021-2022, we'll end up at about 170 million. At the end, if you extrapolate this figure to the end of the financial year, you'll be ending up at about 170 million. So between 2018, 2019 and current year, revenues have dropped by 300 million. And we are talking about reduction in revenue from the high of 469 million. We have not included in that figure what should be the incremental revenue. We are only talking about reduction. Analysis of same figures of throughput from the various queries shows an increase of at least 10% annually in their production sales, which means the query activity has been increasing 10% every year over that period. Yet, we are having an inversely proportional relationship whereby query production is going up and our revenue collection is going down. I think that is the question she's asking. What are the reasons for this declining trend? Madam Garashu. Put it on, I think it's off. Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you, Chair, honorable members. I'd like to bring to the attention of this House that we have an issue with the collection of the quarry fees, which the Finance Committee is aware of, because we brought it back to them when we had an issue. I do not want to discuss that in public, but I have a document which I can hand in and it can be discussed in camera. Can I do that?
Can you present the document? I want to look at it so that I can be able to ascertain what confidentiality it has. I have seen it's something to do with the court. What I've said is this, and I want to make myself clear again. Revenues are declining and quarries are producing. You understand what I'm saying? Regardless of what that document says. We collected 469 million shillings in 2018-2019 at a certain rate. Yeah. So, at a certain item, you understand what I'm talking about, as at that point, because I don't want this, I'm seeing very many notes, but what I'm trying to say is this. The status where we were in 2018 is a base. It's a base. Any other subsequent actions which might have come cannot negate the base, can only be able to go back to the base. You understand what I'm talking about? What I'm saying is, as an example, I'm just giving an example. If I have something at point A, priced at point A, if we sue the government, for example, you normally have these agitations. For example, we also have petroleum fuel increments, and people go and petition against petrol. I'm just giving the petition of the government. It is to go back to where we were before. It is not to stop. So, we need to be able to be clear about the issue on hand, which we have been having. Is it because remember, we are coming from a base, 469 million. If we are saying we are maintaining that base, because at that point there was no problem. As at that point, 2018, there was no problem. Problems arose later on. So if problems arose later on, we should have been going back to the base. I'm talking about a decline. That can be that response, which I have seen here, can be justified for non-increment. Non-increment. When we are justifying why we are not increasing revenue, is because of this. But from the maintenance point of view, we should be maintaining. Because if you go and if I challenge, if for example, let me just say as an example here, if I challenge you and tell you, oh, last year you are charging me 5 bob, this year you want to charge me 10 bob, the negation will be to go back to 5, not 0. Isn't it? So that is the issue I want to be explained. I've seen that, but I'm saying from the base of 469, that's a base. So that drop cannot be explained by that document. There must be something else apart from that document, which is what we really want you to concentrate on, because normally what I say is this: the minute we start putting items beyond our control, then we'll never have anything within our control. The minute anything, we are faced with a challenge, and they say, oh, this challenge is because of something which is not within my control, then now, how will you ever be able to do anything? Everything will be outside your control. So what is it within our control? My expectation here is, as a committee, is you to say what you are doing, which is within your control, to ensure increase in this, notwithstanding this item, which is above our control. So what is the department doing to bring up those things to where they are supposed to be, excluding the document I've seen?
Thank you, Chair, honorable members. I think if I were to check this document, I would say the base is 229. 469 was a bonus because there were special programs then, the SGR and all. That's how we moved up so high. So as those programs came to a stop, they moved to Naivasha. That's how we started coming down. Okay, that notwithstanding, we have also been looking at this, and as I've said, the Finance Committee has also been asking. I think they've even visited the sites. And one of the reasons that came out is that since we have several pay bills, maybe. So what we have done, we have gone ahead and we have established a way of having one pay bill for everything to do with quarries. Actually, it is live, but we have, you can test it on your phones. It is USSD code *377 hash. 377 hash. The reason that we have not put it on is we need to buy a few items, and we have already worked towards it. When we presented the supplementary budget, we actually transferred funds from one of the vote lines, and we wanted to be put in the procurement of a server and the enforcement gadgets. What that will do is that it will now make it easy for us that all one needs to do is stand at the quarries and count the trucks. And then now we can establish our capability or lack of it. So that should happen anytime in a few months. That is what we are planning to do and what we think will be a solution. As at now, it may be expected that we should be collecting much more, and we've been trying. We've even had a quarry RRI during this financial year, where we sent independent people to just stay around. But our revenues went up by only 50,000. So we realized that 50,000 may not have been the RRI. That 50,000 was just part of the normal working. Having said that, we have set up another RRI in April, which we set up actually before we were asked for this statement, whereby we wanted to just go and recheck with the quarry owners. We had ever approached them, and they didn't want to work for us, to again check and do that. But now, whether we have them or not, we are thinking the 377 hash will help us, because it will be one, and it will be for the quarries. It will be used for other programs that we have, but there is a special, if you even check right now, it is live, only we can't use it because we have not done the bulk SMSs, we have not done a few things which we need money to do. But once we put that, then it will be so easy, because then we can see every day what we are collecting, and it will all be lumped together. Whether it is in Mavoko or it is in Matungulu, it will show it was in Mavoko or it was in Matungulu. It will show us. That is what we plan to do that. And we are hoping also when we do that, then it will be easy, because then most of the members of staff will become enforcement, and they'll help our enforcement team, such that the panya routes, because they are there and we identify them. We've had issues with them. We've even had our staff beaten when they try and arrest people at the panya routes. Then that time, we are hoping that even the panya routes won't help them, because things will now start happening at the quarry itself. That is our plan for the future. And the future is like near future, like immediately the supplementary budget is passed. We are hoping we will get that reallocation of funds, because we are giving this priority. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to appreciate the efforts of our Chief Officer on revenue collection in answering the concerns that we have of our revenue collection, which has kept on declining. Cognizant of the fact that you have given us a hope for tomorrow, but I'm addressing myself to the current situation, whereby we have noted that decline, which we are very much concerned. I want to ask, which system have we been using at the moment before we adopt the new one? And who administers it is under, is it under you as the Chief Officer, or who is the administrator of the system that is currently being used in the quarries? And maybe you may also tell us who has been auditing that system, because out of that we are we are likely to get some answers on what has been happening. Because I don't believe that the leakages that we are experiencing in revenue collection can be attributed to some of the factors which we have been getting from different quarters. Can we hear from the horse's mouth, please? Thank you.
Go ahead, Katibu.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Very good questions. Yeah, we have been using what we call life forms, which is a system that was used by local government, and it is run by the county ICT department. After that, the one that we intend to put, which is on trial on other items in Mavoko and Machakos, is CFOMS, County Integrated System. The administrator is still the ICT department of Machakos County. As far as the auditing of revenue collection in Quares is concerned, maybe something I missed to say, but we even invited Kenao to come and do an audit for us at the Quares. And because we were thinking it is actually leakage, but they didn't bring a report of leakage. Their concern was that we had several pay bills. Why we cannot combine all Quares to be on one pay bill. And that is why we worked towards having this one pay bill. They were actually there for a whole month. Was it a month? Yeah, they were actually there for a whole month, not us, the Auditor General team. And they didn't come out with a leakage, except what we already know, that some of the vehicles now, they come at around between 4 and 6, wamemalizana na sisi. By the time we come to work, they have gone. That is the only new thing they told us, that there is a group of vehicles that comes at 5 a.m. or thereabout. But all the other things, they didn't tell us anything new. They just advised us to come up with one pay bill for all the Quares, which is what we have been working on. So even though we feel that Quares should be collecting so much, maybe we need, as a government and not the executive alone, all of us, we need to probably now work together. When we have this RRI, or you can also make your own RRI, there is something that all the people who come from the offices don't see that is in the field. And then it's not only you who have been concerned. Actually, my director, if you are allowed to talk, I beat him all the time. But when I involved the Auditor General, I kind of relaxed a little. So that is the position. We are audited by the Auditor General Office. When we did the RRI, we actually sent our internal audit and the Accountant General and his team.
Katibu, thank you. There is something which the Honorable Member has asked, which I think you need to think about it carefully. Who audits the system? It's not Kenao. Systems are audited by information system auditors. They are not audited by Kenao. If you are using a system, an ICT system, the only person who can audit it is an information systems auditor, who can be able to remove the programs and go through the programs and see where the programs can be interfered with. Okay? So I think that is a question which the Honorable Member is asking. Who has user rights? For example, super user rights. Who can be able to get into the system and be able to see what is happening all over the place? Do we have an individual with super rights? Do we have an information systems auditor who audits that system to ensure that the things the system is doing what it's meant to achieve?
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, Mheshimiwa, I thought he meant auditing at the physical ground. So, yeah, on the issue of the system, the person who has super rights is actually the Chief Officer ICT and his team. So they're the ones we rely on.
Yes, thank you, Chair. My name is Cosmas Matunguli Stewart, a member to this County Assembly. Chair, I want to appreciate the department because I know they really try when it comes to revenue collection. I've always told myself that when we are doing the CVs, I normally see people say I can work under very minimum supervision. But when it comes to these clerks of ours on revenue, nothing like minimum supervision. In fact, I was thinking if we can put it as a requirement in future that if you have to open a quarry, you must have cameras, whereby the county government can check through the cameras how many vehicles have entered that quarry. I don't know how expensive, but we need a very unstable solution to this because we'll never get it right. Our people will always pocket some of these monies because not all of them will have money on their phones because we tend to agree that it is cashless system. That is M-Pesa. But many of our people will always say, I don't have money in my phone. And the clerks will always tell them, bring me the money, give me the money, I'll pay. So you end up finding someone taking cash for like 20 vehicles in the name of, we'll pay at the end of the day. So I want to believe we need a permanent solution on how we can man these quarries, though it might be expensive.
Let me just comment on that. I think the honorable member has said something which I just wanted to say. My background is in oil industry. That's where I've worked for most of my life. And we have in this country thousands of petrol stations owned by the various oil companies. The majors are about 4 who own thousands of service stations in the country. 4. I don't believe you have ever seen a Kenya Revenue Authority officer in a service station collecting revenue, have you? You have never. All revenue is collected at source from the company. The government collects revenue from Shell, from Rubis, from Total, at source. Whatever happens in the service stations, it's none of their business. But what they know is there is a master meter at the depot where all the fuel comes in through, and they know how much fuel you have received. And therefore, if it is for local, all that fuel, you declare for it tax, and you pay it. By the time it goes to your depot to go to your loading gantry, it's already duty paid. So, what is so difficult in us managing a few quarries here and collecting revenue from the quarry owner, who has a weigh bridge connected to his sales office, so that every single truck which gets inside there, that quarry owner sitting in London, they are not here, in Zawahindi, and they don't sit here, they sit in London, but they log in, and they can tell online what is being sold, because everything they sell must go through the weigh bridge. If you look at a river, and the way a river flows, a river has very many tributaries. If you start following the tributaries, you must go to the estuary at the end, where all these tributaries go. That's where you'll get all the water coming from wherever. But if you follow one, you will miss the other, you might miss this. So you guys, when I hear you talking about, oh, some trucks come at 4 in the morning, oh, there's a Panya route. Now, you're looking at the forest, the trees. You're in the trees now. You're handling a tree. This is a tree. Oh, this is one tree. A road. This one's another tree. Now, as a leader, you must look at the canopy of the forest at the top, so you can be able to say, Upper Miti Naibiwa. You see it from the top. The minute you get into the trees themselves, you won't know what is happening all over the place. So the place to get your revenue from is the owner of the query. You need to develop a system connected to the owner of the query so that you can be able to reconcile. You'll be reconciling your documents against this weighbridge issues is what you are reconciling against your receipts at source. Whatever happens now huko nje is none of your business. Whether somebody passes through Panya route, whether somebody comes at 2 in the morning, the weighbridge will read. Or is there somebody who comes at 2 in the morning and they don't weigh? They cannot sell without doing what? Without weighing. They can't. They won't know how much they have sold. So the rule is they must weigh. And that weighbridge is under audit. That weighbridge is audited by SGS and certified. Every year it's calibrated. And they have a certificate of calibration for that weighbridge. So why are we looking at what the honorable member is saying to get a real solution to this? Collect revenue at source. You need to look at a system of doing that, because even this thing you are putting, it is somebody who will have to pay this tax and so and ash, isn't it? Somebody will have to go in there and pay. And somebody else will have to go there and say, have you paid? But for every invoice which comes from that supplier, there must be a line item of your cess on the face of the invoice, of his invoice. It's a system you develop. And when he's invoicing, for example, if you look at all these invoices which are sold to service stations, each has a line item showing duty and excise duty, line on it. Why are we not being able to do something as simple as that and forget about trying to close the loopholes of everything? Go back to where the product is coming from and collect revenue from there.
In fact, Chairman, I forgot to mention that most of us here, we have cameras in our homes. CCTV, that is. And I can tell you who entered my home since morning up to evening. If I get something which is missing in the home ground, I'll just click on the CCTV playback. I'll see everything what happened on that compound, full day. So it's a collective responsibility for us all. We need to come up with a system whereby we can be doing that for our own benefit and for our own source of revenue.
Ms. Katibu, before you respond, 2018, you collected 469 million from 1.5. If you do the maths, what is the percentage of that? Give me the percentage. What is 469 over 115? 1.5 billion? 30%? Is that correct? 30%. A third. So a third of your revenue, you're collecting from one source. A third of your revenue. Don't you think that a third of your costs in revenue collection should be geared towards that? If you're collecting, a third of your revenue is coming from queries, then you should concentrate a third of your costs of collection to that item. What does that mean? Developing this system does not matter how much it will cost. But you develop it once, and you put it once, and you implement it once, and you get out of there. The query owner cannot risk not to invoice, because he will withdraw the license. Why does Total not sell fuel which does not have tax? It's because the government will withdraw the trading license. Can they afford it? No. So they pay tax in advance. And therefore, this query owner, since he has to come to you to give him a trading license, he must ensure that the system is working with him and is paying you all those revenues. Because your people, all what your people will be doing now is to do a reconciliation between weighbridge issues and sales. That's all you have to do. Ask him, give me a printout of your weighbridge. He gives you a printout of your weighbridge. You sit down and you take a printout of your receipts in the bank, and you're just doing a reconciliation, ticking. This day by day, day by day, day by day. You need to think about it. Katibu, you may respond.
Thank you, Chair, honorable members. I think we are guided. I think we'll go back to the drawing board. We'll try and contact all the quarry owners and see how we can come with a program whereby they will charge themselves.
Yeah.
And
You don't involve the quarry owners. You develop the system yourself. You go and implement it with them. You are the one giving the license. So you develop the system yourself. You are not going to call them and tell them, hey guys, come, how do we need to put this in? No. It's you, and that's why I talked about cost. It's you to sit down and say, which system would you want to utilize? Is it SAP? Is it what system? What system do you want to use for revenue collection? Once you agree on what system it is you want to use for revenue collection, that system now is what you, as a requirement for you to get a license, you must have this installed in your system. You understand? Yeah, it's not something you're going to discuss with them. It's something which you can be able to implement like this. Because you develop the system and you put it as a condition for licensing. You are the same people who are licensing, isn't it? So, think about it. I'm just saying, it's an idea. I'm not saying you stop this. You keep upgrade. That's an upgrade we are suggesting. Right now, you could be in, you called it life forms or C forms. You're in C forms, now you're in C forms. But now, you need to, because of those other items which are coming there, think about how you develop another system now, which you can collect all the revenue from 20 queries instead of from 60,000 trucks. Do you understand me? Yeah, you collect revenue from 20 queries, not from 60,000 trucks. Upstream. You go upstream and collect revenue from upstream. Yes, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Stephen Mwanthi, Chairman, Finance and Revenue Collection, Chair. And I think there are some things that we need also to check on or understand, and others agree on. I think Katibu might tell us, yes, she has taken up that and all that, but in my own view, it's quite a tricky area. One, we have to ask ourselves, what exactly do you have with you there? So that is number one. It means with whatever you have, the document you have there, already it is an area we can't go, maybe, or we are not supposed to be there right now. Number two, when we say, because it's an area that we tried, I believe there is a Finance Act that we passed with those recommendations. I can't remember 2020 or 2019. We passed a bill with the same. Yes, I believe we end up an act with those recommendations that we go and collect from the source. And we asked all these questions. So to me, I think we should now be going an extra notch and looking for a different route or different way. Because what we were told is, the first question was, one, what do we charge first? Do we charge the ballast or we charge cess? Now, out of that, you find that the quarry owners will tell you, no, for us, we don't pay Yukon government anything. We pay national government these loyalties. So we don't pay you anything. So for us, we need now to go to the trucks and charge cess, but not what they are carrying. Much as the product is ours, we found that we couldn't pay it ourselves. So I think it's something that needs to be checked on well, and so that we may get the correct position and see how best we can now move to these levels. On this one, I'm not talking about the amount being collected now, but checking and looking at that route on the way of enhancing. I think that formula might not take us to where we want to go because of all those roadblocks. These are people seated somewhere, people who are rich, people with the systems, who will always take us to courts every other day. You use this route, they'll go to court. So can we look for a better way and see how we can enhance, sit together and plan well and see how we'll be getting? Because right now as we speak, we are in the verge of even not collecting anything from these people. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
My response to you is only one, Honorable Member. We are not making money. There are two things, there are two mistakes you won't do. And I have worked in countries where they do gold mining. Forget about concrete. They do gold mining and diamond mining. Okay? And that is much more risky, much more at stake than this stuff here. If you are not collecting revenue, shut it down. Don't give your wealth for free. Do you understand me? There is nobody who can force the county government of Machakos to sell kokoto. Is there somebody who can force us? If we cancelled all the licenses and said we are no longer mining, is there somebody who can force you and tell you, you must mine here and you must mine here? So, it's an issue you need to understand. Let me finish. It's an issue you need to understand because you people are complicating very simple things. I would like them to go and sit down and look at the proposal I have given, and this assembly has given, of collecting revenue at source. If it does not work, they come back before the House and tell the House, we have tried, and we have found this challenge, and this challenge, and this challenge. Let us not now sit back and say, we will find similar problems on something you have not yet tried. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, because you cannot be forced now, you cannot be told, if the county government of Machakos refuses to give a quarry owner a license, they'll go to court. Somebody wants to come and mine in an area, and we say, sorry, we are not issuing you. Forget about the ongoing ones. We say, sorry, we are not giving you a license. They'll go to court and say, I wanted to mine that, and the county government said, tell me no. Yeah, go ahead.
I think there's a small misunderstanding.
Yes.
We don't license quarries. Yes. They are licensed by the national government. Yes. What we do charge them is the SBP. The only thing we can deny them is an SBP.
Yes.
But the licenses they get from national government.
Yeah.
And the last time we had a stint with them, when we went to insist that they're the ones who we have to access their premises and do those things,
Yes.
they actually told us to go to the national government and ask for our money. And we had even done a meeting at, was it Eka? Yeah. It's not like we haven't tried. It's things we have tried. License, we would deny them because we are not the ones in charge of the license. We just charge them SBP. But yeah, we can come up with a system and try and fix it at their places once we have the system. But they are not cooperative, like we can't threaten them. We can't. But I had said we are guided and we will go and do.
You know, you people, there is something I don't believe in personally. That you can be helpless in a situation. You understand? How can we be helpless in our own country? Let me finish. I'll give you a chance, Honorable Ndeti. How can we be helpless in our own country? You are telling me now that whatever happens, even if they refuse to pay, those trucks refuse to pay, there's nowhere we can go. We'll just have to sit back and accept and say, yeah, we are the county government of Machakos, these people have refused to pay, so let them continue mining from our place, and God is good all the time, and all the time, God is good. Is that what we are going to do?
No, we are not saying we are helpless. Actually, if you sat with us for 2 weeks, you'd understand what we do. We are not helpless. We try. We work. We go to the quarries. I don't even know whether you've been to the quarries yourself.
I have severally with different committees.
All right. So what is it you saw that we haven't seen?
What I saw, which I want you people to do, is to collect revenue at source and stop that revenue which you collect from those trucks, that one which you collect from the trucks, that one. we see how we can be able to collect it at source.
That's why I'm telling you
Because
to read
it
that
will
document.
enable you, forget about the cost. It will enable you, I'm not talking about cost. I'm talking about it will enable you to be able to collect at a specific, you see, I'm trying to explain to you something which you, if you think about it, you can think it will help you.
It's because we've thought about it. That's why we
If it is
invited them to
3,000
ECA.
trucks, if you do 3,000 trucks a day, Katibu, let's assume we do 3,000 trucks a day. How many trucks do we do in a month? So you're collecting revenue from 3,000 trucks in a day. And these trucks are all collecting queries from 10 queries. They're all collecting, they're all coming to collect in 10 queries. Why can't you put a system to collect this revenue from those 10 queries, from these trucks? You can work with the queries and it can be done. I am very sure it can be done. The only thing which is there is reluctance, because if you do that, the leakages are gone. That is the only problem we are having here. Honorable Kingori, go ahead.
I just want to support you on that, but I'm also afraid to know that even what we have as an assembly, quarries and mining is not devolved, meaning that the county government cannot demand anything from those quarries, but there's something they can do, and that I know for sure. Under the 2016 what do you call Mining Act, there's a 20% which should be paid to the county, which now that's the fight should start. We should demand them not that revenue. They should not pay it direct to the national government, but they should pay direct to the county, or else we close those quarries.
That's a good observation. Let it be noted. That is an increase in revenue. You understand? That's a very important point, because if we are supposed to be collecting 20%,
Also, Chair,
from them,
over
it's a
that,
very important point, yes.
over that same issue, because we are talking of revenue enhancement. Yes, it is an area, and I wish they could be telling us what happened in ECA. I believe they met with the national, possibly KRI or whoever collects now those royalties. Because at some point, I remember, we entered training in Naivasha, and the amount of monies that has been collected by national government, my feeling is, or what we were being told is, your money is sleeping there and we are not banding that our money. Machakos County earned more than 700 million that you are supposed to collect from there. I believe I have that in my phone. So
collect from where the royalties are paid.
Now the 10% Mheshimiwa is talking about, money that has already been collected, and as Machakos County, that the money that we are supposed to go and demand to come to Machakos, it has already been collected. That same money now, the money we are talking of, I believe that is now the area where they should be telling us what happened and how, or which route should we use. If it means they are simply even writing to them, or whichever way, I believe that is now the money that we are supposed to be for our share, because it is there, it is tabulated as at that time. Now it must be more than 1 billion shillings also. So it's money that we should again be working and pushing the national government to give, because it's our money. Yeah, it's our money, and that is now exactly what the law entitled.
Are we clear on that, Katibu? Maybe you comment on that.
Yes, we are clear on that. Actually, that's... thank you, Chairman. Thank you, honorable members. Thank you, Mheshimiwa Kingori. Thank you, Chairman. Honorable members, that is something we have started. Okay, those are the things we were thinking we should have said in camera, but didn't happen. We have started the process. Actually, there is someone working on it. I think it's called Silos. Yeah, where we are trying to claim the money on royalties that have been paid to the national government, and they were collected from Machakos County. We are at the start point. We have an amount which we are hoping we can collect, and so we are trying to get all the documentation right. So yeah, that one is happening. And that is actually the time we knew, after the ECA meeting, is when we knew we are not the ones who licensed them. I was new in revenue. I was thinking I licensed them, actually. So that's when we knew we don't license them. And that's when we knew we couldn't force them to do quite a few things. But as I said earlier, we are guided. And the fact that we tried 2 years ago does not stop us from trying now. We shall try again.
Honorable Alex Kamito.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and our team from the executive that is on the revenue collection. Honorable Speaker, I would also maybe try to check on those issues we are talking about. I want to give an example like the Kajiado County. They had an issue. They had a problem with the company at Magadi soda ash. Yes.
Company, yeah.
And the governor was very strict. There is the time they went even to the court, but he said, until and when I'm given this amount, there will be no operations in Magadi mining lake. So maybe you can also borrow a leaf how they are doing it. And again, I don't want to drive our revenue collection team from the ballast quarry mining, but I would also ask a question. What also will be the approach in regard to the stone? Because we are talking about quarry mining, the stone mining revenue collection. What also system are they using? Because it's also another area like what Chief Officer Garashu said from the start. There are those also panya routes. I'm from Matungulu, and in Katine we have got those stone, mining areas. And as she says, until and when maybe they put a system of not even camera, CCTV, actual people should be reporting there very early. The panya routes will also be used. And again, I don't know what is the other step they are taking, because in Matungulu we have got also in Nguluni area. Those quarry mining become rampant. They are there, and also in Chilean areas. Areas that do not have the way bridge. What is the approach that they are putting in place to enhance those revenue collection? Yeah. Thank you.
Honorable Kisini.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to ask, but before I ask, I want to recommend what the officers have taught us, and I'm dwelling on this decline. And on top of the decline, we are trying to find a system which is not tiresome and which will give results. We are not privy to that document, which maybe as we are speaking might have given some way of to us, of telling us this is where we have declined because of ABCD. But maybe while in it, because we have had it some of court cases and whatever. I just want to ask from the chief officers, although it should not be me who says so. What of the corona? Has corona affected the business trade in the quarry? And might that have been also a cause of decline? Thank you.
Honorable Cosmos.
No, Chair, sometimes back we did a visit to, I don't know, is Baburi Cement. And there's a system which goes on there very well. In fact, there is a way they pay their monies to the county. And we always don't need to go there to count on how many vehicles enter that place. So if we can copy paste that, in a way we can get some good results. What we need to do is to come up with a budget, then we find it way to the assembly, we approve, then we try something.
Honorable Kingori.
I just wanted to inform Honorable Kisini, that during the COVID time, in fact, what happened, it got increase on development because people were using their money when they are idle. So there was so much development in our areas during the COVID times. So it should have increased instead of declining. As it was, even because I came from the area from Kwales, even some Kwales have to look for extra forces so that they can add people to work on the Kwales, because the development were higher than the time there was no corona. That's what I observed, because people wanted to move from rental houses to their own houses, like in my areas. So I do understand that is not should be an issue. But now let's come to another issue here. I also want to ask Madam Grish, is that yes you Galashu Grishi, it's okay. It's a name, by the way.
No, you need to pronounce somebody's name properly.
But
it's Madam Garashu.
Ansett.
Your answer is from which area? Okay.
From the
Garashu.
Guache areas.
Okay.
You see that?
So it's Madam Garashu. Go ahead.
Galashu. Yeah, Galashu. So what I want to also to recommend is that she can also have a system or a way bridge, which should pay us now when they entering each and every quarry, only if they can invest on those quarry areas. Like the last time, I don't think it's her, it's about, we talked about grading of those areas, because I would also like to know the relationship with the neighbors of quarries, because that's where the buck stops. Because we don't have good roads to go to quarries, how do you expect people to get your things? On the other issue on quarries and mining, have you ever gone to court also to appeal on the judgment which was made about quarrying? Because what I believe is that quarries and hardcores are devolved at the Schedule 4. Because that's where our revenue should come from. So when you say that, even if they have from the government, they should also know that that government also sits in our land, which they should pay. Because I don't see how they can come here, then leave all those houses in Katani, and Machakos County is getting nothing. The area people, the people around Katani are not getting anything. It doesn't add up. You have to come with a policy that also dictate what should be paid by those quarries. And I was once there in the quarries, and I asked them about those licenses, myself as an MC of the area. And I remember what I saw, it is different from what you are telling us, madam. Because it was different. They said the county government always visit these areas. And I witnessed something which, as you said, I was not stating in camera, but I have evidence to show otherwise. So what we need is also to have way bridge on every quarry so that we can charge the usage of that way bridge technically if we have nothing to do, or we force them to put it on our behalf. That's how we can get that money, because we need money from those quarries as yesterday. It doesn't matter how the law is going to be. You can't break the law, but you can bend the law, and you can make the law work on itakusaidia. So let us think of something of those about those machines you are talking about. I know that those CIS system. I know how it works. But now we can't say that because the government has refused us to mine. You can also charge the government itself. Like the way city county charge government on water and other bills. So we can also give the government bill on using our land without paying us. Thank you.
Just to conclude, maybe one thing even which you should be doing right now. How do you know how much you have lost from each query? Do you know even today it's possible for you to know, especially the queries with way bridges. It's possible for you to know how much you have lost. Very easy. If you get a printout of the query, of that query's way bridge, Because, you know, all way bridges have records. And you reconcile that printout with the receipts, like that query. You know, it might look tedious, but you do your bank reconciliation against the query reconciliation, the query metering system. You'll be able to know which query you are losing most. It's possible. So that people don't want to do the hard work. People just want to do the easy job, you know, because if you took that printout and you sat down, people do bank reconciliations of much more busy institutions than those queries. And those bank reconciliations are done monthly. Prepared by, checked by, approved by, monthly. You understand? Yeah, so it is possible to do it. It's possible to do it. It is possible for CES to be a line item on an invoice, on the face of the invoice of a query owner. The same way he has quantity, he has tonnage, a unit, value, CES, value, total invoice value, this one. When the driver is going to buy his tonnage, inside the face of that invoice, it says, you can put it there. It is possible. There is nothing impossible in this world. You only need to sit down, develop a system which should be adopted by all the query owners who are with you, and you tell them, on the face of your invoice, there will be CES. So if you charge a truck as 10 tons, and you charge a 10 ton and you charge how much, for example? How do you charge a truck which has got Megokumi? There you go. So on the face of the invoice, is it 10 ton? Yes. On the face of the invoice, there says 3,000. If the guy pays for the quantity 2,000, says 3,000, invoice value is 5,000. The guy knows ataenda kulipa mwenye query elfu ngapi? 5. 3 si yake, 3 ni account. You understand? It is possible to collect this thing at source. If there is a will, it can be done. But because, to me, the biggest challenge we normally have there is because there are people who benefit from the many leakages out there, not you, out there. Kuna watu ambao wana benefit from those panya routes. There are those people who are coming very early in the morning. There are those people who are going very late in the evening and benefiting from those systems. So it is our work and your work to ensure you look for ways and ways of sealing those leakages so that you can improve on revenue collection, isn't it? That's what we are paid to do. That's what we are paid to do. So we need to look for innovative ways of ensuring that we can be able to do it. It's not something which is going to happen overnight. I'm not saying it today and tomorrow. As I've told you, you are now on siphons. That's the stage you are in. Think of the next level. Because you come and find siphons as its own loopholes, its own weaknesses. So you keep on upgrading your system and making it more and more difficult for the person who is leaking revenue to leak it. I think that's what we're supposed to be working on. Any other comment before we move on? Honorable member from Kalama.
Sunday Speaker. Mimi, I am Paul Onyansi, MCA Kalama Ward. 1993, ni Kalama location ward ilirudishwa Makueni. 1997 tukarudishwa, nikaenda hata kwa Moi, President Moi, nikainua mkono nikasema ukatwe au nikapewa ruhusa. Nikamwambia kutoka hapa Kimutwa kwenda Makueni ni 150 kilometers. Lakini kutoka hapa Kimutwa kuja hapa ni 0 kilomita, ni karibu sana. Kwa hivyo aturutishe Machakos. Akaturudisha Machakos. Na sasa naona mnaongea juu ya pesa, kuchukua pesa. hapa Machakos iko na pesa mingi. Watu wa Makueni wanasemanga namna hiyo. Iko na 100 factories Machakos, na kule Makueni iko kamoja tu. Na wakati tulirudishwa Machakos, tulirudishwa hapa, hizi vitabu za rent, town ya Kali Market, Kola Market, ikapaki pale. Watu wa Machakos wanalipa koti huko Makueni ya rent. Watu wa Makueni hii soko kama ya Kali wanalipa watu wa Makueni wanachukua hizi barua za service kutoka pande, wanalipa pande ile. Saa hii wanaanza kufima mabroti hapo. Surveyors wanalipa pande ile. Wanasema Machakos hawataki. Sababu wanaambia waende wachukue hizo vitabu, waje waweke boundary, na hii mapu ya hapa inasema mpaka ni katikati. Hata niko naye hapa kwa gari. Juzi walikuja wakakata mabroti hapo. Ukiambia watu wa Machakos hawajui. Kwa hivyo ni kama wametosha pesa. Watu wa lands wengine, maofisi ya minister iko huko Adhiripa, maofisa wengi wako Adhiripa wa kila kitu. Sababu huko Adhiripa iko na pesa mingi ya kuongwa, kufanya nini. Kwa hivyo hii kama ni pesa inatakikana Machakos, labda hii department mwiwe pesa mambo ya Machakos na mipaka itafanywa namna gani? Manake pesa zinaingia Makueni. Asante.
Before you respond, have you guys heard that? Katibu, what the honorable member is saying is there's a shopping center in Machakos which is paying a rate in Makueni.
Yes.
You just need to cut off these quarries, and I think you'll work.
Hata hiyo soko wamejenga choo.
Hii quarry ikifungwa wiki moja ama mwezi moja, watajua mahali ya kupata revenue.
Nasema
sasa akili yao yote vile umesema iko adhiriva maboko kwa kampuni hizo na kwa quarries, wamesahau hata kuna hata uto tugino anasema fika tu sema Kueni. Is that what you are saying?
Hata Machakos. Yes. Nataka sema hata
in charge of revenue collection Garashu. That's the revenue going to Makueni surely. Thank you mheshimiwa.
Hata choo. Tumejenga pande ya hapo Machakos, pande ya Machakos. Mlekamwisi iko upande ya Machakos, kwanza Mlekamwisi 2. So pesa mingi inatumika ya Machakos, na hao watu ndio wanachukua, na hakuna kazi wanafanyia watu wa Machakos. Pesa inaenda huko. Ni kama hakuna mutaki pesa.
Would you comment on that, please?
Yes, Chair, honorable members, Mheshimiwa. Yeah, we are aware of that. We have had running battles between us and the Makueni people and the community there. So the last time we had an issue with them, we actually approached our governor, His Excellency Dr. Alfred Mutua, to try and handle it with Governor Kivutha Kibwana. And apparently it appeared in one of the SECEB committees that we are going to respect each other's boundaries and respect the people to collect the revenue from their side. But when we went to collect the revenue from the people themselves, they said they don't belong to us. It's a cat and mouse thing. So we had thought that now that we have escalated it upwards, it will be like resolved naturally, that the boundaries are here. It doesn't matter what you think, where you think you should be paying. But they refuse to give us the revenue because they have the last year document where they paid in Makueni. So they just go to Makueni and pay. But we had given them the invoices when we established that case. So we are still having that. Our team, in fact, all these ones who are here, they actually went to Makueni. Which month? When were you there? This year. This financial year, they actually went to Makueni, and we thought we have come to a conclusion, but now Mheshimiwa is saying something different. So yeah, we'll go to the ground again and just work. Because I think that boundary still has issues that I can't quite explain.
Honorable Moses Mita.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My name is Honorable Moses Mita, representing Kangundo Central Ward residents and Majority Whip of the House. I first want to thank the team from the executive for finding time and coming and have engagement with us. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of quarries, I tend to have a different opinion, Honorable Speaker, because we only have one county government of Machakos, which consists of the assembly and the executive. And I believe every time we come across a challenge, it calls for a unified effort to see how we can overcome that challenge. We are in agreement that there is a challenge in collection of revenue at the quarries. The team has explained to this Honorable House what they have gone through. And sometimes back, Honorable Chair, I think there was a ad hoc committee which was formed in this house. You were a member, I was a member. And we went round the quarries and everything which has been discussed in this house. We tried to engage the companies and we got response, Honorable Chair. And because these are business people working in our county, we have obligation to collect revenue from them. At the same time, they have right to enjoy the environment under which they do their business. And Honorable Speaker, that calls for mutual agreement between the county government and the quarry owners, not to look like they are fighting, but to look like they are helping each other to achieve their goals, Honorable Speaker. I would maybe request, through your guidance, Honorable Chair, if this county government of Machakos can look for an engagement, direct engagement with the quarry owners, and come up with the resolutions on how we can help each other achieve targets, Honorable Speaker. We can agree with the quarry owners, Honorable Speaker, to provide the county government at least with the summary of what they have collected, Honorable Speaker. And if that can be achieved, Honorable Speaker, because these lorries, they come from specific companies. They are not just lorries. They come from specific companies. That information, then the county government, through the Department of Revenue Collection, can invoice those companies, Honorable Speaker, in relation to the information which, especially the major, because we have major, we realize we have major quarries which can really do business with they can provide that information, and then it will help us enhance, at least it will help us enhance. And even those loopholes we have identified, which maybe we are finding it hard to get solutions, it will tame those loopholes, because we will claim from, and you saw they have they have gone digital in terms of collection. The lorry comes in, it weighs, because they are different, they have different weights. Then it's invoiced. Before, in fact, it goes for collection, we realize they first pay. So when they are coming out, it's a matter of weighing and leaving. So, Honorable Speaker, I believe we don't look like we are at war with our business people who are, because we are there to protect them, Honorable Speaker. And as we protect them also, they need also to take care of our needs, because we need revenue to make those roads. Recently, sometimes back, Honorable Kingori was in pains because his residents are claiming his ward is actually one of the leading revenue collection centers, and yet the roads are very poor, Honorable Speaker. In the morning, we were here dealing with the transport department, and one problem is poor roads, especially in those areas where much revenue is coming. So, Honorable Speaker, even if it calls for coming up with a law, this House can come up with a law. We can have direct engagement with them, and then we look for a solution. If it calls for a law, we can make a law, which now will guide how we relate with them. These are things which, Honorable Speaker, we can jungle our minds and see if we can get a solution, because I believe they might be having a challenge which this House can solve. So, as I said earlier, it's one government. There is no executive, there is no assembly. We are here to complement each other, so that now we see how also then they can have other ways of looking for other revenues if we can solve this problem. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I think the honorable member has said some important things, and normally, I know you don't sit, I know you're working very hard, you're doing all those things, but what he's saying is, as an enhancement, you need to engage, we need to see, have you sat down with the quarry owners, for example? Have you discussed with them issues of revenue collection? What have they said? What challenges have they found, have come out from those meetings? What are the loopholes which need to be, because there has to be, from what he's saying, there has to be seen that engagement between ourselves and them to make sure that they do their business well, and to make sure that also we are collecting the revenue. One of the biggest problems, like Honorable Kingori is saying, is that if you don't plow back the money to the quarries by maintaining those roads going to the quarries, if they are seeing that, if there are those agreements between ourselves and them to ensure that funds are being plowed back, their roads are being maintained in good shape, that's what the honorable member is saying. It's a win-win situation for all of us. They can see when they manage to collect all the assets for us, we manage to maintain their roads, and trucks have easy access to their premises. The community which is there is happy on the roads. The community which is there, we are even making money to be able to do some CSR. Does this county government do CSR? Corporate social responsibility on the families living in the quarry area? Or are we going to mine those quarries, and when they are finished, we leave gaping gullies for the people who are there? What future generations, what will their future generations use? Do we have anything to ensure that we plow back some resources there, construct hospitals, construct schools, construct facilities, which later on, when there are gaping holes without the concrete there, the owner can say, at the time when we had this wealth, we managed to put up these facilities which are helping us. Or we take everything, some through leakages, the others we bring back, we put in the CRIF, and we divert to other areas without plowing back to the people who are there. You need to visit South Africa, guys. You need to go to the mining areas where these people start mining gold and those other things. There are holes full of water, gaping hole. There's nothing. And the people who live there, the communities which live around there, are as poor as they were. But they had gold next door. Somebody came and removed the gold and left a gully there, and you cannot show a school, you cannot show an hospital, you cannot show something which the community gained by the resources which they have. Those are the things which you yourselves, as the custodians of this, are supposed to be thinking about. If we collect that 20%, for example, which he's talking about, how are we going to be able to ensure that this 20%, because believe you me, people might be selfish and think it won't affect me. If I'm not safe, you're not safe, believe you me. You might feel comfortable thinking you're doing okay. 4 generations down the line, mtoto wako atakuwa squatter huko. And they'll be living with those gullies which you left. You understand what I'm talking about? So let's think as if everything involves ourselves. And then I'm very sure we'll be able to work together with even them so long as you can be able to prove to them that if you collect for us this is what is it in it for you. That's what the member is saying. Together, we can do well. Jacinta Luca, you have a comment you want to make? Yes, Honorable Chair.
Yeah, I think it's a nailed engagement, Chair, but there are some things that also we need as a government, now not as a county assembly or the executive. There are some areas that also we may need also to discuss and agree on. If, for example, today we are talking about quarries that we have, and the same quarries, we still have families living just around those quarries. Have we, as a county government, we should ask ourselves whether already we've designated those areas to be quarries. If so, should the same government be issuing, constructing approvals to the same areas? Should we? Because if we do so, then it will mean we'll have now those cases of families living around those areas. I thought as a government we should maybe all departments sit together and agree if we are going to make the area residential or whichever, we just plan ourselves as county government and agree, no, these for now are quarries. And if they are quarries, we should not be approving houses to be built or families to be living around there. Then that way we will not have such cases, because we already have. There are people who are encroaching and coming closer and closer each and every day. The same area, we still have dump sites in that area, quarry area. So you can't understand. It's like we are not planned ourselves. We've not planned ourselves well to know what exactly should be happening in which area and when and what. So it is an area we also need to check on and agree on what should be done there. As I conclude, there is that issue of a grader for those same areas. We've been moving around, and I believe many of our recommendations have been, we need to get a grader for that, specifically for those areas, because we moved around there and saw also how the trucks are getting problems on the way because of the nature of the roads there that we have. And I believe sometimes we haven't even allocated some money for the grader. When we asked as a committee, it is like, I don't know whether it was a vote line or what, maybe they will tell us what happened, because we expect them to have that grader for those areas. At least, as also we collect the revenue from those people, we can justify ourselves why we are collecting, because we are also doing something to them. As we later buy a water bowser and a roller for those roads, at least we maintain those roads and as we get the revenue that we are getting. On the issue of enhancement of revenue, yes, I believe we are as at now, this year, we cannot say that construction has not resumed. It has resumed. So we need also to know and see, and as an assembly or committee, move around there and see and get those loopholes, if at all they are there, and see how well they can do to seal some of those loopholes. Thank you, Chair.
So that's good. I think two the things the honourable member has raised. The first one is on if there are people living around the quarry area. That's a different board. My sentence was not on, my address was not on the people who are living in the quarry area. Okay? Because an area is designated as a quarry area, then nobody should be living there, isn't it? Because you put a house there, itavunjika, itafanyika nini, it will do all that. What I meant was that now for the people of Mavoko, that is their resource. Not those living inside the quarry, but the people of Mavoko have a resource in the mineral which is in Mavoko. So when we mine in Mavoko and we do all those things, we should ensure we have constructed clinic in Mlolongo, we have constructed a school in the river, we have constructed from the proceeds of this, because it's in their area. Remember, that is wealth which is in their community, which they need to benefit from. So it's not the people who are living right inside where the quarry is, because how can you live where the quarry is? If you live there, then you only have yourself to blame. If you remember, there's a time I talked about cost I said is a third of the revenue. So I said, shouldn't a third of the cost of revenue be going to that? You remember me saying that? What I meant was what exactly is saying. We should have bought graders for there. We should be getting trucks, our own trucks, making sure there's maram, which is being, those roads should be maintained. Because that is a facility which is giving you a third of your revenue. So you should ensure that there is commensurate costs being incurred in the same place. How do you collect cess from a truck and you're not maintaining the road? So the truck owners will be incurring very hefty repair of their trucks. At the same time, they are paying you cess. What is the cess for? You understand? Yeah, so they are paying you 3,000 shillings every trip. And then, akikuja hapa trip mbili tatu, lazima atengeneze aweke springs mpya. Are you helping that person? That's what the member is saying. So, I think there needs to be that engagement at that level, and we need to have that seriousness of engagement, understanding that this is a partnership between ourselves, the business community, and the national government. So that engagement needs to be done, and I'm sure we'll be able to achieve much. I've been to those roads; they are pathetic. Yet you are getting the money from there. Why can't you plow back the money there? Honorable Kingori is people who are forever at loggerheads with him, because pesa inachukuliwa kwake, but they cannot see the money being plowed back into his own ward. So anaambiwa he doesn't seem to understand what he's doing here, but he's forever here, making sure that he hears those views here. And once he hears those views here, it is you people who are supposed to implement them. Honorable Kingori, do you have something to say before I close? Yes. Because I think we are coming to an end now.
You see, you are dealt on those issues on quarries, yet we have also traders there. What I would like to ask the department, what is the department doing about revenue collected collectors who do not have identification documents? 2, impersonation of revenue collectors who harass our people there, mostly in those quarries areas, at Mudhwani in particular. Traders who are not paying revenue in the quarries.
Good.
I think we also need to know from Waziri, is it a hobby of people getting away with our money? Is it collective for them, yeah, to say that the revenue is not going, yet they are not going where the revenue is? And how are you simplifying those people from going from who are paying us revenues of trades, going very far to get services or going to pay? How do you help them to get services nearer to them so that they can be able to pay revenue without harassing? Thank you.
Yeah, I think those are pertinent questions. We have people who just go and put on the yellow kabuti and they collect revenue. I think that's what the honorable member is saying, that revenue collectors who do not have identification documents. And then we have impersonification of revenue collectors who harass innocent residents and traders who are not paying revenue in the quarries. So there are people walking around, they say they are revenue collectors, they don't have an ID. Do you have a team moving around, checking to ensure that the officers who are on the ground collecting revenue for you are genuine county government officers? Madam Garasho.
Thank you, Chair, honorable members. On the people who impersonate revenue collectors, those ones actually fall under the government, national government. We arrested 4 people one time, but there were no accusers. The people who they were supposed to have extorted the money from didn't want to be witnesses. We all know how cases in Kenya go. If there are no witnesses, if there is no accuser, then you lose. Actually, I was asked, why have I taken them to the police station? I said they impersonated our officers and collected revenue. From who? Or this and this person have reported. Those people said no. And it is actually in Joska. And those people were actually arrested at night. I even called Madam about it. So that one of outside the county government employees is very difficult for me. I think it's criminal, and I think if somebody comes to your place and collects money without documentation or without identification, even if they are county officers, don't give them. That is something we need to do civic education to our people. There is a time there used to be problems with the building sites, and one of the things that our committee, the finance committee, helped us to do that time is talk to the people and tell them, don't pay them. And yeah, we got those cases reduced. Some of these issues are beyond what we, as just officers of government, can do without now the enforcement of law and witnesses. For every case, you have to have an accuser and you have to have witnesses. And that was our problem at that time. We actually thought those cases had reduced after those arrests, but now they've come again.
So there used to be a lot of such cases in KRA. Okay? There used to be a lot of impersonifications for KRA officers. You don't hear them anymore. Why? What did KRA do?
One of the things is that they are not talked about. Yeah, it is actually like don't talk about it, we arrest and we keep quiet. But KRA and Machakos County are two different things.
No, I just wanted to tell you, KRA simply automated their systems.
Which is what I had said in my report to the finance committee. Automation will eliminate or completely reduce the impersonators.
Yeah, absolutely.
That so one day bill, you don't even have to ask anyone, what do I use? It will be all over in billboards. So if you come to Machakos, you know you can only pay *377#. So if someone else comes to ask you for anything else, then you know you can't give them.
Absolutely. So I think you have answered your question. The direction you are taking of you are helpless because it's criminal. I've told you. No, madam.
Chairman, I told you we are not helpless. We are not helpless. Okay. We have done things.
Let me finish.
It's madam, only we have not completed.
Give me time, madam. I'm okay. I don't have a problem. Maybe put off that thing. What I've said is this. What I'm trying to say is this. Let us not be seen like we can. I always like people talking about what is within their control. That's how it's supposed to be. The minute you try to push it to somebody else, that now that is a criminal, it is Rikali, then, so that's why you see, for example, you remember I told you, let's come down to what are we doing to increase on revenue collection, not touch on this. Understand? So for now, I'm happy. You're saying we are doing automation. So when we do automation and we do civic education, for people to know, for example, KRA did e-citizen, and they advertised everywhere that for you to pay everything, go into e-citizen and do 1, 2, 3. Senior. Right now, ukitaka renew license, where do you go? E-citizen. Ukitaka kulipa anything, you do what? So they did that. So for us, you are taking the right direction. We are automating. Then now we should make sure the citizens know. Sasa ukienda na kabuti yako, mtu anakuambia mimi nimelipa online. You see, now we'll be able to clear that problem. So we need to harakishe tumalizane na hiyo automation. Then I'm very sure, I think hiyo problems ambao mheshimiwa anauliza zitaenda tu. Yeah, utapata kia Nairobi, for example, right now there are no kabuti people collecting parking fees. They pay through online Nairobi. Ukienda Nairobi hata wewe unalipanga kwa hii. Yes, that's good. So that is the way to go, madam. I'm just saying what you're saying is the right thing. The way to go is automation. Then once you automate, we must also ensure we do civic education. If you automate and you keep quiet, hawatajua, ataendelea tu kwa mudhani, unapata kamzee kamekaa kavaa kabuti ya yellow anangojea malori ya mchanga ikitoka kwa mto, anaitisha pesa, amevaa kabuti, atalipwa tu. But if mtu wa lori anajua nikibeba mchanga I'm supposed to pay online, atalipa tu, and huyu akimuitisha atamuonyesha. I was looking for ways of ensuring we can improve on that. Okay. Kisini, I think we need, yes, Honorable Kisini.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I still want to go to the first question and then come to this one, the current one. There was a question which was asked by Honorable Member, Honorable Kamito, about how they are also controlling the revenue collections of other quarries which are emerging and which are outside of the main quarry area, and also about the building stones and whatever. And then I also ask, how frequent do they rotate the staff who are designed to be manning the quarries? Because as a resident of the river and so forth, I know there are fights frequently for people to be taken to quarry. So how frequent do you, more especially where there is revenue or money, how frequent do we to rotate them, those who are there, the staff?
Okay. Madam, is that issue which has been raised? I have seen the Machapay. There's a Machapay dial *377# so this is a good thing. Yeah.
Chair, honorable member, yeah, we do reshuffles. We transfer all staff. We transfer the chief revenue officers from the sub-counties. We also transfer the officers. There's only one location where we have an officer who has overstayed, but is because we are doing training for the other officers so that we can do that particular transfer. But for the officers below and some of the SROs, we've been doing internal transfers. We actually introduced a secretariat that goes visiting all the sub-county revenue officers just to have a feel of what is going on the ground. We have reports, but hatujazibeba, so we haven't shared. Thank you.
Okay. I think that's okay. I love Kingori, then you'll give the concluding remarks. And then from there, I think we'll be done. Honorable Kingori.
Thank you, Chair. There's another part of revenue. I don't know what they do, because like when now is the campaign time, people are going to put posters, and there are those posters which are being given on the street of Nairobi of our roads, and we get dumping on those things. Yet they are licensed in Nairobi. Why don't we have a system that also that anybody from Mazrifa, where our border is, we should also know that this is Machakos, and if somebody have been licensed to give posters in Nairobi, should do so instead of being paid in Nairobi. Yet it's been given in Mara, in Machakos, or Joska, or maybe in Morolongo. They are dumping our areas, yet we are gaining nothing. What are you doing about it, those posters?
Katibu, there's something about posters there.
Actually, there is a kind of inter-county agreements. If it's charged in Nairobi, not just posters, even cess or any other charge. If it's charged in Nairobi, I'll not charge in Machakos. And that is an agreement with the Council of Governors. So we must learn to live with each other. What we can do is we can solicit the business of having the posters emanating from here. But we do need a printer in Machakos so that then we can do the business from here. And yeah, it is something we are going to think about. And starting with you honorable members, make sure all your posters are printed in Machakos and we deal with it internally.
I'm trying to understand There are two things. There is the issue of printing, madam. I'm just trying to. There is the issue of printing, and there is the issue. For example, when we do our posters, we are told if you are doing flyers, even, isn't there something you pay?
Yes, there is a small fee.
So if somebody is doing flyers in Machakos, and they're supposed to pay in Machakos, even if I print them in Nairobi, the physical document, now if I carry them now to Machakos, and I want to distribute them as flyers, you don't charge that.
Oh, those ones we treat you as a hawker, so we charge you here.
So you charge?
Yes, as a hawker.
Now, if the billboards we are seeing here.
No, the billboards are charged in Machakos.
They're charged in Machakos?
Yes.
So, Honorable Kingori, what were you specifically talking about? Because now...
Yes, it's something similar to that. Those flyers you are calling, they are called flyers, yes. If somebody is working Duka is in Machakos, then why should he be licensed in Nairobi and his Duka is in Machakos? That's my question now. Because like those flyers of Iza Nyumba, Iza Kina, those houses, they are divided malas, what. They usually give them in our areas. So they pay nothing in our areas. Yet those papers are dumped in our areas. They litter everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we get nothing out of it. We need also to put across where nobody should pay those flyers from Nairobi and give them in Machakos, so that we also, if they want to do it in Machakos, they should also get license in Machakos.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying.
I think you look at that. I think it's okay. Have a look at that and see how we can be able to handle it. Honorable Chair. Yes. Intarudishia. Yeah. Which can be able to bring us together as a team. Okay? And just ensure that, the county is a going concern. This is a government, it's a going concern. It will be here years after we are gone. To be here forever. So, when we talk about value addition, we are not talking about now because we are sitting there. We are talking about improving on processes which will help the future generation, the person who will come tomorrow and the person who will come tomorrow after tomorrow, like that, because it's a going concern. It's not cutting to 5 years of this. No. There will still be revenue collection after August, isn't it? And there will still be revenue collection in 2028. There will still be revenue collection in 2050 until the end of the time comes. So we must keep on improving on the controls and on the systems so that we can make them better and better for the future generations which are coming here. One thing which I've noticed in my career is that people try to make things which suit them when they're in office. But now you forget you're also going to get out of what? Out of office, and other people will come and sit in those offices. Make it better for them. When they come, they find systems are working. This is a challenge I've seen, but you'll have to handle it, because even the other people who come in future will face the similar what? Challenge. But I thank both Katibus. I thank Jacinta, Katibu Jacinta, Honorable Garashu, and your team for the time you have afforded this committee and for your genuine responses to the issues which have been brought. I believe as a result of this interaction, a report is going to be prepared by the General Oversight Committee and presented before the House, which will give all those enhancements which you have said, go down on record, and I'm very sure people in future will be able to follow it. So thank you so much for bearing with us, and I wish you journey mercies as you go back to your various areas of work. May God bless you. So we adjourn the committee meeting, and we meet again tomorrow, God willing, in the plenary. Asanteni sana. Thank you. Sasa hii ambayo iko na hiyo judgment, you need to